Welcome back to Beyond the Kitchen Table, a space where we have conversations that don't always happen while we're cooking, but absolutely should. So pull up a chair because this is where we talk about building something that lasts beyond the kitchen table. Now let's talk about the grief, because baby, the grief is probably the hardest part because you grieve somebody who's still alive. I grieved my mother for 13 years, every day, a little bit at a time, because I could see her slowly slipping away. The grief of her being able to make her famous dishes the same way, because she was putting salt in her greens 2-3 times. The guilt of her not being the mother of the bride that I know she would want to be, because she couldn't remember I was getting married. That part was just hard. I was her only daughter. That was very hard for me to deal with, that we couldn't have conversations about colors and floral arrangements. We couldn't have conversations about, the wedding dress. Oh, Jesus, the wedding dress. Let me tell y'all the story about the wedding dress. So I wanted to have the experience of shopping for a wedding dress with my mother. I went home to North Carolina and we went to David's Bridal so I could go have that experience, so I could just have the memory. I remember going home. We went to David's Bridal to look for dresses, and it was not her. I know, like looking back on it, I know, but in the moment, it was very hard to deal with the fact that my mother couldn't remember I was getting married. Like, we were in the store looking for dresses, and she was telling people, my daughter say she getting married, but I don't know. Like, I mean, she was confused. So it just wasn't an experience I would have gotten with Shirley Mae Miller Mills circa 1996. Like, it just was a totally different experience. And I grieved her really hard that day. And even throughout my whole wedding planning process, I planned my whole wedding. I had a wedding planner and worked with the person at the hotel. And, obviously Kevin and I, Kevin gave his input about the wedding, but the way I thought it was going to happen with my mom, it didn't happen. On my wedding day, or my wedding weekend, we had a lot of issues with my mom being confused. The Alzheimer's was really bad at that point. I remember my rehearsal dinner. Before my rehearsal, she literally had gotten her coat. She got her luggage, baby, and she was leaving. She said she had to go teach her kids. Her mind was taking her back to the Bronx when she used to be a PE teacher. And what I remember about, navigating this process with a loved one who has Alzheimer's disease, when you remove them from their home, you remove them from a place where they are familiar with, and then take them to a new place, that can agitate them and that can make them more confused. And I didn't think about that, right, when I was planning my wedding. Anywhere I would have had it outside of like her living room, it would have happened. But bringing her from North Carolina to Maryland for my wedding, she was very confused that weekend. And it was just a really tough weekend because I grieved the experience I thought I would have. And mother-daughter experience when I got married, it just was very different. And I definitely grieved what I thought it was going to be. And you're grieving for so many different reasons. You're grieving somebody who's still here. You miss the conversations and the traditions and the shared memories that you had. Me and my mama used to kiki. Man, on the phone, we would like, once I got to a certain age, we would kiki. We would just get on the phone and just be like chit-chatting. She was very, just about different topics. And I missed that. And the grief would come in waves because there was times I would be around her and she was lucid and she was the mama I always knew and loved. And there was times where I would be around her and she was very confused. Or the time she was very aggressive. And she couldn't help it. But there were times when she was very aggressive. As the disease progresses, based on the person and how the symptoms and signs and things, come out when it comes to Alzheimer's, you have people that are very calm and cool. And you have people that are very aggressive, like fighting you. And I remember when I was pregnant with my daughter, my mother was having issues with incontinence. Because as this disease progresses, their mind forgets certain things. They forget that they got to go to the bathroom, right? So there was an incident that had happened, and I was trying to get her to change her pants. And like I said, my mother was very my way or the highway. Like, you don't tell me I'm the mama, you the child. Like, that was her. That was her personality. She was very my way or the highway. She did not like people telling her what to do, maybe when she was well. And you ain't gonna tell her what to do now that she's not well. Like, that didn't change. But I was trying to get her to change her pants. And I think I was like a cool 7 months. I was definitely showing. I was big and pregnant. And I was trying to convince her to take her pants off. And I'm like tugging at her pants to change it so I could help her change. And she drew her fist back like she was going to hit me. And I remember like protecting my stomach. Like, Mama, no. I got a baby in my stomach. You can't hit me. You know. And it, she kind of jolted her out of it. And she calmed down. But I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. That she was going to hit me. And I'm carrying her grandbaby. I gotta take 5. Okay, I'm back. This is beyond the kitchen table. This is raw and real. This is what having a parent who has Alzheimer's or who had Alzheimer's is like. I'm still crying. And my mother passed away in 2021. It doesn't go away. The emotions are still here and they're still very raw. And if you're watching this and you have a loved one who has Alzheimer's or dementia or showing signs of it, the whole point of me doing this episode and this whole series is to show you and share with you what I went through so you can prepare yourself. You know, you have to be able to find ways to cope with this, right? That's why therapy and counseling is important. You know, going to the Alzheimer's Association, they have support groups for caregivers, for you to be able to talk with people that are also going through this. You have to be able to ask for help. You have to, if somebody of faith, pray about it. You know, go to the Lord in prayer. It is so many different ways and avenues for you to seek support and help, but you have to do it. It's a lot. It is a lot to have to go through on so many different levels. Because the roles reverse. That's another part that people don't understand. The roles reverse. And my mother used to say, I'm the mama, you the child. But during this process of her having Alzheimer's disease, she went back to, you know, kind of childlike. And I mean, not being able to do things for herself. This disease is horrible. This disease is horrible. I don't have any other word to describe it. You go from a fully functioning adult who's capable of making decisions for themselves, who's capable of taking themselves to the bathroom, who's capable of handling their finances, who's capable of cooking themselves a meal, to not being able to swallow, not remembering how to eat, not being able to swallow, not being able to remember how to eat. Not being able to remember you got to go to the bathroom. Your body shuts down when you have this disease. So it literally works on your mind short term. So your short term memory goes first. Then your long term memory goes. And then it works on your body. Your physical body shuts down because of Alzheimer's disease. And that's what happened to my mother. I got a call the end of May from the nursing home telling me my mother had not much longer because she wasn't eating. And that's what happened to her. She stopped eating. So when you stop eating, your body obviously is going to shut down because you don't have any nourishment. And that's what happened to her. That's how we lost her. And I'll tell that story, you know, as well, so people know what to expect. And everybody's situation is different. My mother was healthy outside of the fact that she had Alzheimer's disease. She had hypertension, which she took a medication for. She had, I think it was hypothyroidism. She took a medication for that. That was it. Sis, for the most part, was very healthy. She was a physical education teacher, so she would walk 4 miles a day up until she couldn't do it and make sure she came home. She would walk 4 miles a day, and she was physically fit when she was dealing with the early onset of Alzheimer's. It was just her mind. So, like I said, you go through this emotional roller coaster. You have good days and really hard days. You have those moments of clarity and they're lucid and they remember your name and they know who you are. And then you have those days where they can't call your name and they don't know who you are. And they don't know where they are. You're laughing one minute and then crying the next, because that's the emotional roller coaster you're on. And it's also mentally exhausting, emotionally exhausting, especially if it's your mama or your dad. Just like as a child, they are supposed to take care of you, right? So it's like they're supposed to be there for you when you have something that's going on, a problem that you need help with, encouraging words. You need them to pray for you. Whatever it may be, you look to your mom and your dad for that. And once they get to a certain point with Alzheimer's disease, that's gone. That is absolutely gone. I mourn those days so much with my mama especially. Both my parents were very wise. Maybe my mama and her wit and her business mind. Man, she was before her time when it came to business. So stuff like that, you grieve over that. Like not being able to have those conversations with her now as I sit here a full-time entrepreneur, as I sit here shifting from working for somebody like she did and working for herself. As I sit here as a whole mama, man, when Maya was a baby, I had so many questions about breastfeeding and about her sleep when she got sick. I couldn't call my mama. She couldn't remember I had a baby. She couldn't remember I had a baby. It was very hard. You know, I had moments that would bring me happiness between Maya and my mom, because she had very, very, very short and few moments with my daughter. I think it's because she thought Maya was me. I have one video of her holding Maya, and Maya was 6 weeks old. It was the first time we went home after I had the baby, and she, you know, I felt comfortable to travel. And I have a video of her, the only video I have of my mom, where I can hear her voice. I only have one, because back then I was taking more pictures. Bunch of pictures, but no video. And she's holding Maya, and they have on matching pajamas. It's such a cute picture. They have on their matching pajamas, which it wasn't planned, but their pajamas were coordinated. And she's holding her, and I'm recording her, and she goes, "You see your mama? You see your mama taking your picture?"
See?
The only video, the only instance that I have of my mama knowing that I have a baby, and this is my baby. Like, that's the only, and Maya was 6 weeks old. That same weekend, we took a picture to all three of us, and I remember her telling me I was doing a good job as a mom. Baby, I only been a mama 6 weeks, but for my mama to tell me that out her own mouth, overjoyed. I was overjoyed. Those are the two instances I have. Because after that, mama got real sick. Literally, weeks after I left her is when she had the pulmonary embolism. So she wasn't talking or walking or any of those things anymore. One video. That's it. As she started progressing and gotten worse, you know, you see, and I'll try to insert some pictures maybe with this video at the end, my kid growing up with my mother in the bed. 6 months, a year, year and a half, 2, 3. I got pictures and videos of her feeding mama. I got pictures and videos her laying with mama as an infant. She grew up with her until she turned 6. Literally. I mean, my mama passed away when Maya was 6. And literally, I would go down there every month, month and a half, 2 months, depending on what was happening with work, to spend time with my mother and check on her and make sure she was okay. And for Maya to spend time with her. And there was very few times once she had that pulmonary embolism when she connected the dots that that's her grandbaby. But I have few moments on camera of her connecting those dots. And I cherish those moments. And if you're going through this with a loved one, and we're in a different time, the time of video. So if you're going through this and you have a loved one, a parent who has dementia or Alzheimer's disease, take as much video as you can. I don't care if they're in the middle of a rage. Just so you have their voice on camera. Take as much video as you can. Because I wish I had more video of my mother and my father. But, you know, I lost my mother in 2021. But by the time I was videoing stuff, she wasn't saying anything, right? So if you can, take as much video as you possibly can, just so you can have those moments on tape that you can go back to, you can show your kids or whoever else. But it's comforting just to have the one video or the few moments I have, just to be able to hear a voice. If you're watching this and you are actively taking care of, loving a parent who has dementia or Alzheimer's disease, I want you to listen to me. I want you to give yourself permission to rest. You're allowed to rest. I want you to give yourself permission to cry. You're going through a lot. Caring for somebody who can't remember who you are, caring for a parent who is not the same person you remember them to be, is a lot. I want you to allow yourself to feel angry. Why, God? I questioned God a lot when it came to my mother having Alzheimer's, because of all people, my mama. So allow yourself to feel angry. Allow yourself to not feel like you have to be strong every day, right? You're not Superwoman or Superman. This is a lot. Dealing with this is very heavy. So allow yourself to feel soft sometimes. You just have to be human, because like I said, this comes with a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings. It's very heavy. So I hope you take that to heart as somebody who has experienced this, who has walked in these shoes, caring for a parent with Alzheimer's and dementia, and actually practice it. Okay? I know this was a heavy episode. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for joining me. I hope this was helpful to hear my experience with loving a parent who has Alzheimer's disease and the emotional roller coaster. So the next episode, we'll be talking about the financial impact. We'll be talking about the legal realities and also long-term care and the cost of long-term care. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure to subscribe and share this video with anyone you find will be helpful. And I'll see you next time on Beyond the Kitchen Table. Have a blessed day.